Hello, hello, and welcome. You are listening to The Motivated Mindset. I am your host, Coach Jeff Demers. With me today, I have a very special guest, and she's going to she's going to help a lot of us with one of the things that we struggle on when we want to get our voice out there, when we want to get our written word out there. Um, she is I believe, 7-time author. I may be one or two off, but let's go ahead and thank for joining us, Ms. Janine Hernandez. Janine, thanks
Thank
for
you
coming
so
on.
much. Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Well, you are one of the foremost experts in my world in book publishing. And as you've written, was I correct, 7 books now?
7 books. I can't believe it.
I'm still shamelessly working on number one. Um,
Oh,
Before
good.
the end of this year. Before the end of this year, it will be a reality. But I am a fan. I mean, we've known each other for a while, but I do have one of your books right here.
I
Yep.
love it.
Uh, The Light in Times of Darkness. Now, like when I first got this, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I got it because, yeah, we're friends. But at the same time, I was like, I'm a guy. What can I use in this? But then I read it and I'm like, how you overcame and what you did to overcome, like the battle with depression and kind of get your mind right, which is one of the themes of our show, was amazing. And that doesn't just get narrowed down to a sex. That is for both men and women. We struggle sometimes, even though we put this face out to the world, especially on social media. Living life is great and it's awesome, but in the background, we're like, it's so hard, So your book, it helped me a lot. So
I
definitely appreciate you for that. It was
thank you.
awesome. But let me dig in real quick because I know we're short on time. Because like your schedule is just as hectic as everybody else's is. So let's dig in here real quick. Speaking from an author's perspective, thinking back to book number one, what inspired you to write your first book?
So it's funny because I actually think I was on your podcast when I launched my first book way back when, 2015, 2016. So my first book, I actually started writing it when I was 9 years old. It was poetry. And when I
Wow.
was little, I would tell my parents, when I grow up, I want to be an author. Like the weird little girl that wants to be an author. But back in the 90s, I didn't know, nobody knew how to publish. You had to go through a traditional publishing company. And
Mhm.
so I waited until I was about 24 years old to publish it. And it was just a moment where I got tired of perfecting my book and putting it to the side year after year. And I finally was just like, let's get this done. Let's get this project done. And so that was my first book. It's called Through My Eyes.
Yep, I remember that cover very well. When you released that, wow, has it been that long? Because like 2015, 2016, that's right around the time. It wasn't too long before that I started on this path, right?
Yep.
Of I'm gonna be an entrepreneur and whatnot. Um, so okay, so thinking back then, I know it was a long time ago, and maybe there's something from today that you can still pull from, but what are some of the biggest challenges that you face while writing your book?
I mean, writing the book, I would say the biggest challenge is like writer's block and sticking to a writing schedule. But becoming a business owner on top of that, there's just so much obstacles that come with it. It's how do you sell this thing? How do you market it? How do you put yourself out there? How do you scale? It's a lot. It's being an entrepreneur is not for the weak.
No, it most definitely is not. Especially today, because I believe that, a lot of people, they don't take that route because of fear, not so much of failure, but maybe ridicule and embarrassment from their peers. Like they don't want to put themselves out there. And writing a book is the same thing. I'm going through that now. I've been writing management to leadership since I finished my master's a few years ago. And like one of the things that I constantly think about it, I'm like, I know what I think about the words that I'm putting down, and I know the direction I want people to take. But what if they don't see it my way? How do you overcome those types of things while you're trying to write your book?
You just do it anyways, to be honest with you, because even the seventh book, the last book I had, I was the week of, I'm crying my eyes out. Like, do I really want to put this out? Do I really, you overthink yourself and you question yourself. And even if it's book number 1 or book number 20, you still have that little fear. And so honestly, the best advice I could give is just do it anyways. Like, even with the fear, with the tears, with the resistance, because if not, you're going to be 20 years down the road still with an unfinished book.
I've been down the road a little bit with a lot of my challenges. But when you think, okay, so you've written many different types of books, because you've gone from some really serious books like this one to you've written children's books. Like, how do you know, like, one day,
Yeah.
I'm going to write this, and this is great for this niche or this target market, and this book is going to be great for this target market. How do you pull those different ideas and those different thoughts together for a different market?
So it's unpopular opinion, or idea. Authors in the industry, they tend to stick to a specific genre. It's like this unspoken rule. They don't like it when you go from like crime and mystery to like a happy, joyful, spiritual children's book. You shouldn't be in different genres. But for me, I don't listen to what people say and I do whatever I want. So for me, I tend to just go with my intuition and what my intuition is telling me at that moment. And if in that moment I feel like writing a children's book, or I feel like going with the adults and writing something more serious, then that's what I do. And I understand that I am in several different genres and I don't care. I understand that I have different people that I'm marketing to, but I don't care. Ultimately, for me, I'm like, if I have something to say, I'm going to get it out there, whether it's for a child, an adult, a teenager, a senior citizen. I'm going to just do it.
That is awesome. One of the things that you mentioned a little bit earlier on, just a few minutes ago, you mentioned a writer's schedule. You stick to a writing schedule. Can you explain more around that? Like, is it just like, okay, Mondays, I'm actually going to write, and you spend all day writing, or is it just little blocks or a number of words? Like, how do you stick to that schedule, and what does that schedule look like when you're writing your book?
So for me, it's easier to, yes, stick to a word count. So let's say I want to write, I don't know, let's say 50,000 words for my book. I will create a goal. So 50,000 spread out amongst 3 months. I don't know, just hypothetically speaking, let's say it's 2,000 words a day. So I stick to that. And then my schedule, so I make sure that I carve out time and I put it on my calendar, whether that be I eat lunch for a half hour and then I do a half hour of writing every single day. Because if you don't carve out the time, then you're always going to make an excuse as to why you can't do it. But for me, I structure it that way I can hit my goals, my writing goals.
So for me,
It's
I
easier.
actually I received that advice from you via Messenger. Like, I don't know, it was probably about a year and a half ago when I really started digging into management to leadership and really started writing it. And I know I'm probably 2/3 of the way done, but one project that I did finish, thanks to your advice, is my Sports Media X program. And yes, it's a course, but when you write down everything and put it in an ebook, it's actually like 30,000 words. And the only reason I actually finished that is because you told me, just 300 words today. Work on writing 300 words. And so every day that I worked on that, I was like, okay, let's write down 300 words. And some days 300 turned into 3,000 because I was just into a flow, right? But I think that is a very good tool to use, or a very good measuring guide to use when you're writing. Don't think I don't have to write the whole book today. Like, there's only one way to eat an elephant, right? And that's just small bites, right? So I'm not saying go eat an elephant. Um, but that's pretty much how I finished my program. And now today, I mean, we're projected to do very, very well with the launch of this program. But again, it started with 300 words, right? That's all I had to write today. Like I got up and
Yep.
300 words
You just
take you 300 words is a
do a little
thought that you put on paper. Yeah. So I definitely want
mhm.
to thank you for that. Um, now we talked about, okay, so how exactly do you come up with like an overall idea for your book? Because you kind of have to stick with that for your book. Is it just one thought, or do you do research first and see what the market wants, or do you just sit down and be like, you know what, I'm gonna write a book about military life, or I'm just gonna write a book about being a sports journalist, talking about myself. How do you actually come up with these ideas? You've written 7 books. I'm still working on number 1. So you've had 7 successful ideas
Um,
that have actually come out.
Yeah, so I do have a running list. Like I have a little Word document where I keep ideas of books because I'll get ideas all the time, but not all of them are the ones that you should publish. So I have a list of books that I'm like, okay, I think I could write about that. And honestly, I just sit and resonate with it over a couple weeks. Like, should I write this? And see how I'm feeling about it. And if I'm supposed to write it, it'll flow easily for me. It won't feel forced. It won't feel like I'm like forcing myself to do it. The Light in Times of Darkness, the book that you have, I wrote that in 13 days because I just had so much to say.
Oh my god.
Whereas, like other books, yeah, other books, it took me 4 months. So it really just depends. For me, I'm very
Ah.
intuitive. So I just kind of go with the flow. I just flow.
Oh my god. As much time as I've just put that on the back burner, it's been almost 2 years that I've been writing that. And you're like, yeah, 13 days, 4 months at the most. And I'm just like, oh my god. All right. So clearly I need your help, which
Yeah.
um brings us to our next topic. You are the founder and coach of the Book Publishing Academy. How how did you get inspired to actually create an entire academy that says, I know how to do this, now I can teach others? How did that come about?
So I started to have, after I published my first book, I started to have people reach out to me saying they wanted help publishing their books. So I was doing one-to-one coaching. And then after I had like 12 to 15 authors at one time, I realized that that can be very draining, especially when they're writing memoirs about their life story. It can be emotionally draining to coach that many people at one time, one-to-one. So right before the pandemic, again, I started to have that intuitive nudge that I needed to switch to virtual online coaching. That way I can help more people at one time. And so I started to create my courses. I created like right now it's 80 videos inside my course. And then what I did was I shifted to group coaching. So I coach everyone at once bi-weekly on my group calls. And then if they need additional support, they can schedule a one-to-one call with me. But for the most part, everybody is on a group call. I do still take private clients, but I keep it at a max of just about 4 for, within a
Right.
specific time frame. But
Mhm.
honestly, I didn't like wake up one day and say I want to coach people. It just kind of fell on my lap. People would reach out to me and then it just evolved from there. And especially during the pandemic when everyone was home and they were bored and they had nothing to do, a lot of people wanted to write books. So our business took off during the pandemic. So
So how is your program structured to help different types of authors, like going from I have an idea that I want to put on paper that I don't know how, to I've written a book but I have no idea how to publish it? How does your program help those two different types of people?
Yeah, so my program actually starts with the mindset. We have a whole module that just talks about mindset and how to prepare you to become an author and an entrepreneur, because I think a lot of times what happens is people get thrown into this entrepreneur world and then they don't make any sales and then they quit, right? They quit quickly. So I prepare
Yeah.
them like it's going to be a lot of hard work. You're going to have to bust your ass. You're going to have to not give up. You're going to have to believe in yourself. So we talk about that first. And then so my program walks them through how to write, publish, launch, but also the business aspects. So like marketing, sales, and branding. And really, they can start at any point in the process, whether they've started to write it or whether they already published and they just need help with the marketing. We get a lot of different types of clients that sign up.
Wow, that is amazing. So your academy has an event coming up in April, and you still have some tickets available. Is that correct?
Yes, we are hosting our 4th annual Book Publishing Academy Summit. We are selling tickets. If you go to bookloading.com, that's bookloading.com. So this event is for anyone that has ever thought about writing a book, or if you've already written your book and you're just looking to scale your author business, this event is for you. We're going to have amazing speakers, and it's also coming with a networking mixer, so you'll get to meet a lot of amazing authors and entrepreneurs and industry leaders. So I'm super excited for this event. It's going to be April 6th and 7th in Phoenix.
April 6th and 7th. It's going to be live. It's not virtual. It's going to be live.
In person, yes.
April 6th and 7th. Where is the event going to take place in Phoenix?
It's going to be taking place at Perimeter 83 in Tempe.
That is awesome. Miss Janine Hernandez. Yeah, we've been friends for a while. We were talking offline. We've made some life changes since we've known each other, and we've definitely pushed forward. But I appreciate you for coming on the show today. Definitely want to go ahead and connect offline to see how or in any other way we can help you with your event coming in April. Ms. Janine Hernandez, don't forget, hey, if they want to get a copy of this book, The Light in Times of Darkness, how do they get it?
So if you go to my website, JanineHernandez.com, you can shop for my books and check out my podcast. Or you can also go to bookpublishingacademy.org, where you can find more information on how you could publish your book.
That is awesome, Ms. Janine Hernandez. Thank you so much for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the Motivated Mindset today. We will see you again next week, same time, same place. Have a great day. Remember, you can't have a great day unless you can't have a great week unless you first start with a great day. So let's have a great day, everybody. We'll check you later.